So in this section, we want to ask, what is success? What does it mean to be successful in your job? Well, the world has a lot of different definitions of what it means to be successful. You know, money, power, fame. Maybe it's whoever has the most toys. You can even say on a day-to-day basis, it's getting a job promotion or maybe moving into a corner office or something like that. And you know, even the church has some of its own kind of subtle definitions of success. Sometimes we might say that if you're a pastor or missionary, that's what success looks like. Well, is this the case? Is that what the Bible says success is? Well, the answer is no. And again, it comes back to this idea we've been talking about in the book, that who you work for is more important than what you do. And so there's not a final end of your job or final thing that you're going to accomplish that's finally going to make you successful. Why is that? Well, it's because your job can never do all those things that the world promises. Your job can never bring you ultimate happiness. It can never bring you ultimate fulfillment. It's never going to be the thing that gives you this ultimate identity. So what's the answer then? What's the answer to this question I posed earlier? What's the definition of success? Well, we aim to be faithful to the King. That's what it means to be successful, to be faithful in whatever assignment He's given you. You know, that might include making a lot of money, maybe. It might include having career advancement, maybe. It might not include any of these things, though. The point is that if your King has called you, if your King has deployed you, if you're faithful and work with sincerity of heart to the King, then you're successful. And you know, when this becomes your goal, when this idea of success becomes your goal, to be faithful to King Jesus, it's enormously freeing. No longer are you looking to have your identity measured by somebody else. No longer are you looking for the rewards that this world could offer. No, instead what you're doing is you're saying, Lord, with what you gave me, I used it. I was faithful with what you gave me and where you placed me. And you know, that's I think tremendously encouraging, whether you're a 5-talent person or a 2-talent person or a 1-talent person. That's not the point. The point is that you take what God's given you, the circumstances in which He's placed you, and you work faithfully unto King Jesus. You know, on a personal level, it's been so helpful for me to think about success in the Bible's terms as opposed to the world's terms, because it is so freeing. And one of the passages that's been most encouraging to me is Proverbs 16. As you look at Proverbs 16, you see what God does and what we do. So what do? Well, we make plans, we cast lots, we determine steps. We think about what it is we want to do, we plan. But what does God do? All of a sudden we see God answers, God determines. You know, this chapter of Proverbs is incredibly important, I think, especially if you're an ambitious person who's used to trying to thinking and planning about what you're going to do with your life. It's incredibly important to see that all of that is subject to King Jesus. You know, looking at this passage, it's really helped me, again, personally, kind of develop a personal work motto. As I look at God's fingerprints all over the different things I've done in my life, that work motto is work hard, work smart, but trust God. Of course we want to work hard. We want to give it our all. Of course we want to work smart. We want to do all of our work with excellence, but ultimately we can trust that if we're faithful in those two areas, if we're working hard and we're working smart, we can trust God. We can trust God with the results. We know they're in His hands. So what that means is that if we're working, we can push hard on the plow, but we can do so with an open hand. We don't have to worry about, and we're freed from worrying about all those different things that the world chases after and expects so much out of their work. So we hope as you conclude this study, as you think through these ideas, you'll conclude with us that who you work for is so much more important than what you do. And the freedom you have in working for King Jesus overcomes any idolatry you could have for work or any excuse for idleness at work.